Hello, hello, Heal Squad. Welcome back to another episode. So excited to be with you guys today. We are doing a two-parter with my friend Sah D'Simone, who wrote this book called Spiritually We. He's been on the show before, and I loved him then. I love him even more now after this conversation. Part one, we're going to be talking about lots of things. We talk about the death of our moms, kind of how that went down, and what you need to know before you get in that situation, whether it's having a health directive already figured out, knowing how you can control the room so that this process happens in the way you want it to happen. And we don't know when these things are going to happen. We don't know what the end story is, but how to kind of navigate that process of also navigating grief, ritualizing grief. We talk about somatic awareness and the importance of integrating grief into your life and how to do that exactly. So I hope you enjoy this first part. Tomorrow we've got another great episode, so enjoy this one for now. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Hello, Heal Squad. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing great wherever you are in this crazy, beautiful world. We have a great episode today for you. Actually, two-parter you guys are going to love because I know I loved it. But first, we'll start with our quote of the day. There's no freedom without meaningful connection with other people. And that is from Sah D'Simone, who we are going to be chatting with today, who wrote this book called Spiritually We. He's been on the show before. We had an amazing conversation. It was a while ago, so we're just reconnecting. But if you don't know Sah, he is a spiritual revolutionary artist, internationally best-selling author of Spiritually Sassy. He's known for hosting his Spiritually Sassy podcast, also for creating the Somatic activated healing method. He is also a chaplain at Cedars-Sinai. He has a lot of work he's done with the homeless youth in California. He's earned this incredible award called the CARE Award from the city of Los Angeles, and has just done a lot of spiritual work. And I'm so excited for this new book, which aims to restore the connection to spirituality and drawing from his own experiences. But he says that we can't do it alone. And so we're going to learn all about that in our first part of this episode. I am so excited for this chat because I feel like the last chat we had was so amazing and profound. I think that you've gone into whole new places since then. So tell me kind of where you've been in these last 2 years since I saw you.
Yeah, 2 years. A lot happened. A lot of loss happened. Mom died, and that was like so tragic. I'm still trying to pick myself back up, to be honest.
Wow, I understand the feeling.
Yeah. And I think
What
a lot of
happened?
people
Was it
a cancer.
Okay.
It was like a 4-year battle, and
5-year with me.
yeah. And no one, all the 10 years of practice that I've had coming into like ushering someone to the other side could have never prepared me to see my mom in a hospital bed, unconscious, with chapped lips, with gooey eyes, cold hands, cold head, cold feet. Was coming from a monastery in Nepal, and I had talked to us. Should I go into all these details?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are we recording already?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So then I'll tell you in the details. So left the monastery. Actually went into the monastery feeling like, oh, mom is in Brazil. She's happy, healthy. January 5th, she's going to go to the big fancy clinic in Switzerland. I had put down the deposit. It was like a big investment. And
because she had cancer at that time.
Yeah, she had cancer for 4 years at this point. And me and my sister said, let's go to the monastery. Let's do this 30-day retreat. Halfway through the retreat, we start to get this pull that something is off. I started to have panic attacks, and I haven't had for maybe 5 or 7 years, but they were severe. They were the psychedelic kind that I didn't know who I was, where I was. My vision was blurry. The sounds were muffled. My body was like jello. I would have to crawl on the floor because I didn't have enough strength to stand up. It was like that severe.
You were feeling stuff.
The severing was happening.
Before you move from this,
yeah,
I feel like we need to talk about that at some point, because I don't think a lot of us pay attention or understand when these moments happen where you don't know why, but you're totally emotional, totally not yourself. Like I had that in the Dominican Republic on a retreat that I went, a personal one on my own.
Yeah.
And I was getting so overwhelmed with grief. And it wasn't about my mom. It was like world stuff
Okay.
that was hitting me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can feel stuff is bad,
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
happened before
Yeah.
9/11. I had these
wow.
like waves of
Yeah.
like shit
Yeah.
just coming through. And I don't know why or what, but then it reveals itself later. So just one little moment for everybody to realize that when these things happen, you have to pay attention. You might not be able to decode it exactly in that moment, but your body knows energetically what's happening, whether it's your family, your husband, when he's cheating, you know,
We always
but we
do.
don't know how to interpret it.
That in because I could only understand the multiple panic attacks I was having looking back. I couldn't understand that. Like I was like, I'm in this amazing monastery that I've had all these massive life-changing experiences. I'm here to like liberate myself and bring the wisdom I learned back into the world. I'm so excited. I was there with my ex-boyfriend, my sister, my guru was still alive at that point. It was just like beautiful. Everything was just like, oh my God, picture perfect. And then
You're like, why?
Exactly.
So why would I be like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I tore my left foot and I had pink eye on both eyes and the panic attacks were happening. Like my vision was getting clear. I don't know. I can't we can look at the symbology of it all and give specific meaning, but I think symbols are beyond language. It's beyond what we can interpret with simple concepts. It's much more paradoxical. But in the context of mom dying, my body was definitely saying, honey, be ready.
Yeah.
Like you're going to collapse. And so I spoke to an astrologer. Okay, so let me give you the actual story. Boyfriend and I are in the monastery. We're trying to do this thing. He's feeling really uncomfortable with the experience and I'm feeling uncomfortable that he's uncomfortable. So then I said, you know what? Let's leave the monastery. Let's go to the place in the world that I know will be healing for us. Let's go to Bali. We go to Bali. We're there for like maybe 5 nights, 6 days. On the 5th night, mom is in the hospital in Brazil. Okay, are you tracking?
Yep.
Yeah. 5th night, I left on the 6th day. I called my astrologer and I said, my mom's in a hospital for pneumonia. Like, didn't make much sense, but sure, whatever. And he goes, yeah, she has like a 3-day window that it's going to be really, really hard for her to get through. And if I could tell you the truth, if she does make it through, she's going to be stronger and more powerful than ever. I also want you to know that she has the chart of a star. She's in a hospital. The last phone call, Maria, I've ever had with her was me telling her that she had this 3-day period that she was about to enter into.
To prepare her for the fight.
Exactly. And also to tell her that she has come here with a big mission. She has come here with the chart of a star. Yeah. So that was the last phone call. I'm just feeling kind of like welled up for it. Yeah, that was the last phone call I've ever had with her. And she was in the hospital. The complications started happening, and then we found out that the pneumonia wasn't pneumonia, was because she had brain tumor. She had a couple brain tumors, and the radiation had started to mess up with the. I don't know the language, but that's really what happened. It was the complications to do with that, and then I'm like, okay, things are getting really bad, and then I check in with myself, check in with my core family and group. And I was like, should I wait? Because I'm so depleted. Like, are these panic attacks and the severity of like what I'm feeling, this unsettledness that I'm feeling, is this have anything to do with my mom? Oh, maybe not, people are saying. Maybe it's just your body is really like trying to detox and heal from your own side independently. But we know nothing is independent. Nothing exists from its own side. We're interdependent, we're interconnected. So, but I didn't know at that point. So people are telling me, stay in Bali, heal, go to the dance, go chant kirtan, go walk in the forest, go swim in a river, go to the beach, all the things. And I was like, no, love y'all's information. I know I need to go to Brazil tonight. So I left and I called my sister Moon. She was still in the monastery. This is on the 27th day, I think. I said, I'm going to Brazil tonight. You should come too. by the blessings of the divine, we were both able to meet in São Paulo in Brazil around like a 2-hour window. Stuff like this doesn't happen.
Yeah,
She's coming
she's
from
in-
Nepal.
yeah.
I'm coming from Indonesia. Like
Yeah.
we're both taking these 21 to 22-hour flights to meet in Brazil. Like, if this isn't orchestrated, then I don't know what is. We meet in São Paulo. My dad's friend is able to get us a jet. And then we take, I've never been in a private jet. This was the first time for a tragic reason.
Yeah.
And we take the jet into Londrina, where we're from. Arrive in Londrina. I see my mom, I collapse because she was so unkept. These nurses, the medical staff, they had done a tragic job. They were so neglecting. And now with the work that I'm doing in the hospital here at Cedars as a chaplain and seeing how different it is at like a amazing, huge hospital here and how beautiful it can be. And also there are little moments where we have to advocate for patient care.
Of course.
In my mom's case, you have my father who's an amazing man and my brother who's an amazing man, but they don't know.
They don't know.
The lips are chapped, the hands are cold, the top of the hat is cold, you know? There's a little goo in the eyes. Like, honey, no. Where's the blanket? Where's the beanie? Where are the socks? Where are the warmers for the hand?
Yeah.
What's happening? Who advised that she can go into that we should induce a coma that will be the healing thing to do? As far as I'm concerned, not to create contrast, but also to not create drama in my family. We've already spoken about this, but they were not the qualified ones to take over the health directive.
But this is why health directives have to be in place ahead
right.
of the drama, guys. I say it all the time. I made my parents sign years ago because I said I never want to be in that situation and know that we don't have this all figured out. And it really helped in that moment because my brother and I didn't get along and there was just no question. I'm in charge. I was put in charge for a reason. I'm making the decisions and that's it.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Thanks for advocating for the health directive because I think a lot of people,
no one thinks about this stuff.
nobody wants to bring
Who
death
wants
into
to?
dinner.
Yeah.
Or you know, it's just like we're so death phobic as a culture. We're so grief phobic as a culture. But the inevitability that grief is always going to be around and that death will eventually happen isn't part of the vocabulary. It's not in the vernacular. You know, it's not something that we sit around and just say, hey, how about Friday night we get together with our friends and we all bring our health directives and we all go through all the questions like a preparation for the inevitable.
That's
you know,
it. We know it's going to happen. Why are we acting like it's not? I was joking with my dad. My dad, since he's been here almost a year now, he's been cooking and I joke, I have a private chef at home because he's so amazing. And he was making breakfast yesterday or the day before. And I said, Dad, I said, listen, when you get to the other side, can we make a deal? Other people want signs that you're here. I'm like, can you send me breakfast? Can you figure out how to whip up some breakfast for me and send it?
Yeah.
I go, because I didn't make that pact with Mom and I should have, but you gotta just bring some levity to it because otherwise it will feel heavy. We know it's going to happen. When? We don't know.
That's right.
But we have to be prepared for that. And that's why also with the show, I always advocate to be the CEO of your health. We have to be the ones to know what to do, unfortunately, because you will end up in a system where they aren't taking care of them. I had it with hospice where there were so many things and I go, wait, no, this isn't okay. And I was running it after that. Once I knew, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. These people, you know, some can know, but some don't, or they want to save the money. So they don't give you as many things as you need because they don't know that they know you don't know that anything they don't give you, they make on their side. That's a savings for them if they don't provide you with this or that. So
thanks for naming this, Maria. I'm
have to
feeling
know
so
it.
already like, this conversation is so necessary.
Yeah. I always say to people, you don't know how fractured the system is until you're fucked. Until you are a 911 stage 4 cancer and now you're thrown into the system and you're like, wait, what? I'm supposed to get a second opinion? How do I get a second opinion? Wait, I'm supposed to, how do I do all of this? We kind of have to start really learning this so that we're ready. If you have elderly parents, start preparing because it's going to come. The day's going to come where you're going to need to know how to do this stuff. And you don't want to do it under pressure and under, you know, that kind of intensity.
Because we don't make the right decisions at that point. We're really scattered. And so tracing back to that night, arrive at the hospital with Mom. Mom is there laying. and I had instructions from my teacher to do a series of rituals. So I set up an altar, and this might sound a little esoteric for a lot of people, but it's fine. I want to introduce people to a mystical approach to living, because this isn't it. Like, guarantee you, you would never dream yourself into scrolling on social media for 3 hours a day or watching TV for 7 hours on a Friday. Like, this is what you dreamed of. This is not what life is meant to be. But we have to unravel this out of our bodies, out of our psyches, out of our hearts. So I arrived at the hospital. I set up an altar to feed the demons that were perhaps feeding on her. And the nurses were kind of like, they didn't know that I am a native Brazilian, so I speak fluent Portuguese. They were chatting it up over there in Portuguese.
What were they saying?
They were just saying, what is this weirdo doing? This is like black magic. What's happening here? Like that. And I was just like, Sah, stay the course. Stay in your body. Focus on the mission. It's not about advocating for the ritual. It's not about...
Or trying to teach them.
Yeah. I don't have the need to be right. The goal right now is to get through this ritual, to usher mom into whatever next destination she has to get to. But at that point, it wasn't to death. It was like the healing. I had entered into that mode of like,
this
the
is what
eyes
we're
had
doing.
rolled in the back of my head, and I was chanting the mantra, and I'd set up the altar, and I had brought the holy water from Greece. I had done all the things. As a Buddhist, I work with every faith tradition that has produced liberated beings. Every mystical tradition has produced liberated beings. We just have to look, enough.
But I love what you said. I didn't have to be right. And I think that's another big point to bring out for people that, a lot of us can get sidetracked with the dramas and having to argue your side. There's no other side. It's your side. It's your family. It's your decisions. It's what you guys want. And don't get distracted with the noise, because now also you see fights happening with the patient laying there and everyone's fighting around. You can't do that, or it's not good to do that, at least.
And sometimes, with the training of a chaplain here, I am sometimes in the middle of that dynamic playing out, where patients actively dying, families in denial. Now I'm talking to the ethics team. Doctors are saying, move them out, out of the hospital. There's nothing we can do here. So it's this weird place where it comes down to what we're saying. We have to prepare for the inevitable. We have to prepare for this last event that will happen. And how do we do it? By talking about it, by learning about it, by having these conversations, by listening to conversations like this. And don't be afraid of bringing these conversations when you listen to a show like this back home, integrated by talking about it. If you listen by yourself, it's gonna be like an intellectual sort of realization. But if you want a somatic, felt sense that things have landed for you, bring it to a friend. Say, I listened to Maria and Sah talking about this health directive, and obviously you've been talking about this for a while. Bring it to the dinner, bring it to the cafe.
Yeah, but that's also what you talk about in your book.
Yeah.
And so bringing it to your friends, that's where all of this comes together in that connectivity.
That's right.
But also, like, I'll tell you, when my mom was passing, there was a 6-month window. She had just beaten COVID, and we got a brain scan that showed that the tumor had, in that month and a half, 2-month period where she couldn't get chemo, it had just grown so large that we were like not going to be okay. And so I flew her back to the East Coast to be around family. And I was like, Mom, we don't know what's going to happen till the fat lady sings. I don't know if that we can even say those things anymore, but that was the saying, obviously. Anyway, I said, we are going to actively believe you're a miracle and that your miracle is going to continue like it has, but we don't know. And so that 6-month window, I did everything to continue moving in that direction, but holding space for, I don't know. And in that last week, when we saw that decline, we're like, okay, I think it's going to happen. I think she's going to leave us. I still was like, yeah, but you never know. What if she gets that miracle and she just wakes up and gets up out of bed? Who knows what God's got prepared to show us? Like, we might have something insane that we're supposed to see and experience. So, but what we did was I made her room beautiful. We had healing music on, the healing frequency music on. We would watch Everyone Loves Raymond to make her laugh. Even though we know her eyes were closed, she would squeeze my hand, so I knew she was still there. And so we made it a beautiful experience. And then at some point I shut it off to family and I said, this is our time. And we kept it really quiet, really intimate to us. And she passed so peacefully and so beautifully without fear. We were all around her. I have Ring camera footage of all of us hovered over her bed, hugging her as she passed, because her heartbeat had started slowing down. And it was like early in the morning, like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I called my brother and I said, this is happening. And me, my brother, my dad, my husband, and our dogs all just hovered over her. And we said, it's okay. And she passed. And it wasn't like this, it was just like a beautiful exit on Easter, our holiest day, which was so special.
My mom died on Christmas. Wow. Yeah.
I just want to share, it's my first Mother's Day without my mom. Since we're talking about it, I don't know, no, it's not my first Mother's Day without my mom. It's my third Mother's Day with my mom, but it's my first Mother's Day as a mom, which is a whole new dynamic that's going to be thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I am doing and I've done since my mom has passed is honored the maternal moms in my life, the other figures, the maternal figures.
That's right.
And I don't know what you do, but I feel like that is a way for all of us who don't have moms to still enjoy Mother's Day. And I know Kevin's going to hopefully get me a Mother's Day gift or a Mother's Day card. He better. But if he doesn't, guys, maybe somebody sends him a hint. Maybe send him the link that I have at Macy's to send him some of the things that I love. Macy's Mother's Day gift guide has dozens of categories to help you find that perfect gift for your special mom in your life. And whether that be a nice dress or jewelry or perfume, I know I got a few of those items for the maternal figures in my life. You can go to Macy's.com/gift finder to help find the perfect gift. And if you want some of my inspo on the things I love, go to my Macy's wish list in the podcast description and let me know what you end up with. And then secondly, another supporter of the show that helps us be able to do this every day. And thank you guys for not fast forwarding through these ads. Sah, you have amazing hair, so I'm sure you have tried Ouai products. You did?
Ouai.
Have you tried Ouai?
No.
Ouai?
No.
Oh, you're gonna love. I found it because I bought it for my husband in the Sephora line because he wanted something to help him with like the dryness. So I got him the leave-in conditioner and the hair oil, and then I started using it, and now I'm like obsessed. So if you guys haven't tried their products and are looking for something to help elevate your hair care routine, you can go to www.theway.com. Use the promo code Heal Squad, get 15% off. By the way, if my mom was here, that would be part of her Mother's Day gift because she always would say, Maria, my hair is frizzy. And I would always buy her all these things. And I finally have the perfect solution. And she's on the other side. But you can get 15% off and put it in your Mother's Day gift bag for your mom. Enjoy. Meanwhile,
this is amazing, Maria. And I feel like yours was way more peaceful than ours. So, like blessings to you for having had that. To me, the way it worked was so...
You were in a hospital. It's different.
That's right.
We were at home, so I could control my environment a lot more. But I do think for anyone listening to this, now you also have authority to bring that into that room. And you can tell them what you want. Like even when I had surgery last year, at some point I go, no more blood in the middle of the night. I'm not going to heal if you guys keep waking me up to do blood work because you don't want to get sued, which is really why they're doing it.
That's right.
At some point after 2 days, if you're stable, at that point I'm like, okay, I don't want any more of this.
Yeah.
And I want my curtains, open, or I want them closed. I want dim lights. I don't need the big fluorescent lights. Whatever it is you want.
That's right.
When Athena was born, I said, no artificial light. She comes into natural. We had little fake candles just to create a little mood and an ambiance.
Beautiful.
And it was so peaceful and quiet. And I was like, I know how to control these rooms now. And I think that you can now have that authority to control your room, control who comes in, control how they behave and act in there. We want it very still and quiet. Whatever it is, you can do that. But we don't know that.
We don't know that. And I thought I knew what I was doing, and I just want to name something that Alua Arthur said on my podcast recently. She has a new book out. She's a death doula. And she says, I'm paraphrasing what she says, also metabolized from all these other people that I've been speaking to. But she said something that sometimes the miracle isn't vitality and health of the body. It's the miracle is the easeful passing, you know? And I was like, wow, that's so profound, because I think we're all wanting the miracle to be, you know, mom gets off bed and is smiling. It's like, I'm fully healed.
Yep.
All done. Next, you know? But sometimes I think the greatest gift when it's so eminent that they will die is our capacity to us be present and not bring judgment or fear or worry into the room, or wanting the best case scenario to be what we want it to be, not what's the best case scenario for their soul's journey. So all of this has only come into my somatic awareness in the last year and a half, because the miracle to me was always like full recovery.
Yeah.
She's going to Switzerland January 5th, and she's going to come out of there a month later, and she's going to be amazing. And I was going to move to Brazil. We're going to start a whole new life. It was going to be this whole other life, but this is what was meant, you know? Mm-hmm. And so she died. The way it happened is we were with her for an hour, finishing this ritual. We go upstairs. They're like, oh, I'm going to give her a bath now, a shower, wiping her down. Because I had said, you know, like, what's going on? She's kind of unkept. We go upstairs to eat something. Lots of friends and family are up there. Within 15 minutes of being there, the nurse comes and they're like, hey, the doctor wants to talk to you. I was like, okay, what happened? They're like, oh, the doctor just wants to talk to you. I'm like, we get in the elevator, opens the door to the ICU. Doctor says, your mother died.
What?
Like that.
What?
Like that. The delivery was Patricia died.
Of
like
course
that.
You're still having issues. That's horrible.
Like, whoa. That level of lack of trauma-informed care, lack of trauma-informed delivery, no warmth. I felt dehumanized in the experience. And then once I came up to the body, begun another set of rituals, reading a prayer that helps the consciousness to usher, to move on to the next stage in a peaceful way. Because according to Buddhism, it's some really evolved souls get to go to sort of a heavenly plane. The vast majority of us don't go to a heavenly plane. We get reborn as a human. Mm-hmm. So we get to do this whole thing all over again.
So do the work now, guys.
Exactly. So this is the other piece that I was so traumatic, was them telling us, within me sobbing and crying and all of it, keep it down, first of all.
What?
Yes, that, which was like mind-blowing experience. And I was like, I can't not allow this wailing, this ancient grief, the death of my beloved mother, to be silenced, to be canceled right here, right now. No, absolutely not. And I'm noticing my dad uncomfortable, and he's having like a mini heart attack through the experience. It was a horrific sight. Yeah. And then when I begin the next level of prayers and ritual, they were like, okay, we have to take the body now. It's time.
And is this why you became a chaplain?
Exactly why,
I just
Maria.
Felt it.
All of this. This is the reason why, because I was like, this isn't right.
No.
Like the way I was treated, this is not okay. No one else should ever go through this process in their life, especially with such a fragile experience. This was cruel. You know, and we weren't at a...
I don't even treat a dead lizard like that. Exactly. I give lizards their proper burials and proper experiences.
That's right. Yeah.
Humans, come on.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with people just don't know how to deal with death. They don't know how to deal with grief. They don't know how to be with people who are uncomfortable. And then the next layer of this came through the grief journey. I'm sure you can relate, or hope you can relate, because maybe for you it's different, but how inadequate people were about my grief. She's in a better place. She has her angel wings now.
Because they don't know what to say, so they just have to say all of that instead of saying, which I had a great conversation with Nicole Avant after her mom was murdered. She was like, just say I love you. Just saying I love you. Right. I'm here if you want to talk, whatever it is. But trying to put Band-Aids on it that don't, just say nothing then, because those things don't work.
That's right. I think that saying nothing is a great place to start. And then being next to someone who is grieving.
Just hug them.
And just be there. Say, I'm not here to fix, resolve, empower.
Bring them snacks, bring them food, bring them
their
water.
Bathroom, make their bed.
Yeah.
Literally make them soup, like all these things and then don't say thoughts and prayers. By no means whatsoever. Don't be sending that message, because it's hurtful for the mourner. And also don't say, I'm here for whatever you need. send them a flower
Yeah.
every day for the next couple weeks, or send them a care package, or say, I had a Will Guidara on the podcast. He had a number one restaurant in the world for a while. He says, I called my friend every day at 9 a.m. for 3 months. Some days he picked up, some days he didn't. That is the choice. On my way here, I called a friend whose mother died yesterday.
Yeah.
Did she answer? No. Called her best friend? Did she answer? No. Did I take offense? No. But they saw a missed call. That's the important part, is that we are showing up in a way that rehumanizes, to let them know that what they're going through is severe.
Yeah.
And I think us using language like, oh, mom passed away. I don't like to use the pass away too soon. I want to say mom died, because I want the severity of the experience to be felt. I want people to not shy away to say, oh, my mom passed away a couple weeks ago. It's like, no, my mom is dead.
Yeah.
Like Maria, I will never have her hug.
I know.
I will never have her kisses. I will never hold her hand. We will never dance again together. You know, my work with Deepak Chopra and going viral, all of it started with me dancing with my mom in our kitchen. You know, while she was, I know, we're
I
both.
can't.
Yeah, literally. It was her coming off of surgery and having her drain bags off her body. And the only thing I had was a little bit of joy, was just a little bit of joy to offer into that space. Not to deflate, not to bypass, but just here's a little spark of joy. What else can we do here in this moment? Or she could not barely walk, you know? So I think we have to meet the discomfort by choosing to be uncomfortable with the mourner. And this is, I think, the foundation for being trauma-informed in your care for people who are grieving is, I am willing. How much time are you willing to be uncomfortable with your best friend or your partner today?
That's the thing, is nobody wants to be uncomfortable, and nobody wants to have their life interrupted. It's annoying. Oh God, now I'm going to have to, like, it's weird.
It's annoying. She died.
It's weird that that's how it goes, but it does. And so, you know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I remember, do you know Dr. Laura Berman?
Yeah.
So when her son died,
she just started following me like 2 days ago.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
I remembered when you said that, she was a situation when, I know she was devastated. Her son died. And I remember just texting her for a long period of like, hey, I'm just checking in on you. I'm thinking of you today. Sending you love today. Like, but when you say sending you love and you're doing it consistently every day, it really means that, right?
Totally
it's not
different.
just like thoughts and prayers and then you never think about it again and you're going back to your life. I wanted her to know somebody was thinking about her grief every day, because it is so horrible to have that happen.
Yeah.
And now having a baby myself, I understand it on another level, but I think that's a really nice, I always try to find tips for people that might be easier for them, because some people are afraid to go into the home. Like I had I used to do a lot at the Children's Hospital, and there was a little girl who her last wish was to get a message from, or to meet Justin Bieber or something. So I was working on getting this video from him.
Okay.
And they texted me, she's leaving us. And I was like, I was on a commercial shoot. And I'm like, I called 911. I got the video. He says hello to her, whatever. I physically told the production, I'm like, I have to leave right now. I'm going to be back in like an hour. I had to enter a room with people I didn't even know while their daughter was actively dying, a young girl. And I was like, I have the video. And we played it, and she opened her eyes out of a coma, literally opened her eyes, and then said, that's so cool, and then closed them again. And then she eventually passed, I think like later that day. But sometimes you're terrified to walk in, and that's an extreme situation, but you just got to do it. But if you can't do that, you can send a text every morning, set an alarm on your phone, check in with Sah.
That Maria,
That's
right
it.
there.
And just do it for a week, 2 weeks, whatever you can do. That means so much to someone, for us to sit there and say, wow, they're still thinking of us in our time of need.
Exactly. That, so important. And I think a lot of people we're prioritizing, and sorry to use such reductionistic language around it, but we are prioritizing the wrong things in life. We're forgetting that connection is the cure. We're forgetting that we can't do this thing alone. We're forgetting that we'll all be sick and we're all going to age and we're all inevitably going to die. And we cannot go through this process alone. We're not meant to do it alone. Look at the longest living people across the world. I mean, hello, as a Greek woman,
Yeah.
you know what, when you go back home, you know what it's like. Family dinner, you know, it's community, it's support. You're there for each other. It's not this isolated experience of like watching TV and having your food in front of the TV. Like this is a sign of lack of well-being. You know, when you can sit in front of someone whose eyes are alive and looking back at you, you know, there's something different that happens to the spirit, to the nervous system. The food tastes better. These are the moments that we have to start to prioritize. So when the 911 event happens, there isn't, oh, should I do it or not? It's just, you know, to do it.
Yeah.
Like your integrity, your code of ethics, what matters in life most are evident to you. There's no doubt. There's no like choice paralysis. Should I or not? It's like, you don't think about it twice. Shoot, pause. I'll be back. Justin Bieber, where's the video?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's go. It's just, we don't have doubt, and the fear isn't there anymore because we've started to prioritize what matters most in life, which is connection, which is being together, which is
Helping each other.
Exactly. Supporting each other through this insane riddle that is being human. This gig is terrifying. And I think a lot of people love to pretend that it's not a riddle, that it's not a paradox, that it's easy and some people have it all together because they look put together. But, you know, as you start to look under the hood, honey, and trust me, from having worked with very, very popular people and in an orphan center and in a rehab and in a hospital and with the unhoused and in rehabs, like literally the only place I haven't been yet is a prison and a refugee camp or a war zone. And this is on the horizon. This is the place that I want to get trained in. But everyone, very popular celebrity to someone who's living on the street, we are all confused by this riddle of being human. And we can't pretend that we can do it alone. But the hyper-capitalistic society emphasizes this self-made individualism.
We're never self-made.
Never.
I had a shirt that said self-made, and I remember wearing it and being like, but I'm not. There were so many people that helped me along the way.
Exactly.
And so I think that was something, you know, sometimes things become popular, but it's never the case, ever. There's always someone somehow along the way. They did something. Maybe they drove you somewhere. Maybe they encouraged you. Like sometimes we think that it has to be some big act, but it's not. It's the friend, you know, when I got my first contract, who worked at a mailbox, who owned a mailboxes, etc. place. And his name was Ron. Thank you, Ron Peretti. And he looked over the contract. He was the only successful man that I kind of knew. I was like, can you help me with this contract? And you know, it's that you know, also says you weren't self-made. These people all helped you in your journey.
Exactly. And also, like, we can go even a little bit more subtle, like the clothes in our body, we didn't make them, you know, the cell phone technology, the hardware, like all the, like nothing, the cars we're driving, hundreds, maybe even thousands of people had to like put it all together. Nothing exists independently from its own side. Everything comes to be because of something else or because of someone else. And when we open ourselves up to this interdependence of all of life, it's way easier for us to just prioritize connection and stop to entering life with this scattered view and also this lack of priority to say, hey, I can't do this alone. And something I talk about in the book in detail is how we have this like disgust around the word need. I need a friend. I need connection. I need support. You know, because we're such an extreme with like, I don't need anybody to what I need someone to. We go from I don't need anyone to full codependency. I can't do anything alone. I can't do anything by myself. So we have to find the middle ground, you know, like the spot right in the middle where we can advocate for the fact that we can't do it alone, but also see if we're not tending to our own wounds, to our own heart, to our own ancestral wound by ourselves, if we're constantly relying on someone else to do the fixing, the resolving, the healing for us. And there's a fine line there, you know?
Yeah. Well, if we go back to kind of being there for people, sorry, my blood sugar is
Okay.
activating. Being there for people, you know, I think we're in a club when these things happen. because a lot of us sometimes don't really know until we go through it. It's almost like you don't know what it's like if you don't have a dog, right? So when your dog dies and the person who's never had a dog is like, so why are you so upset? And you're like, this was my child. Are you kidding me? I'm crushed. I feel like a Mack truck is rolling over my heart.
Yeah.
But that's why I always say to people who I will help through or have helped through the dog situation, I'm like, pass it on to the next person.
Yeah.
Because we are the only ones that understand this pain. So then you need to go alleviate the pain from somebody else, because the regular person who's never had a pet, be so connected to them, doesn't get it. And it's not their fault. So in a sense, with people who've never experienced loss, we can't blame them because they've never gone through it to understand. And you know, even me saying, now I have a daughter, I fully understand even more what it potentially could be like to have that kind of loss. Again, I didn't have one. So things are more exacerbated. I feel things more. So, you know, that's why if you're listening and you haven't experienced loss, you take these tips because you want to be wiser. You don't want to have to go through it and then feel bad. I remember Nicole on the show was like, you know what, I'm telling you these things because I didn't do them. So
exactly. And one thing I want to emphasize too, Maria, and for everyone who's listening and watching, it's after the fact, you are now grieving. You're now feeling completely lost, and life is moving on. Everyone around you is carrying on, you know, getting their coffee, driving to work, doing their thing, and you are feeling completely lost. And one thing we have to also remember, in America, the current, you know, worker laws, it's after 4 days you have to be back at work, which is insane to me. But I want to emphasize the fact that you have to ritualize your grief. You have to explore your grief. You have to do something with it. And writing about it is beautiful. Talking about it is beautiful. But
how do you ritualize it?
You just have to bring it forth. You can start by activating with somatic language, like, I miss you. I miss you.
I do. I say that to my mom all the time.
I miss you. And then the I miss you is going to start to well up feelings. And then when those feelings come up, you may let go of all the stories of the words too, and just let the feelings dance you. That may be something you do. Or get a big canvas, you know, tape it to your floor and explore with charcoal, or maybe close your blindfold yourself and explore with charcoal on the floor and let the grief draw or paint. Or what me and Dad did, because I was feeling like, although I'm coming from a place of privilege where I've built a life where I actually have time to myself to be able to like tend to myself, but I had entered a space where I was kind of desensitized by the grief. I wasn't like missing my mom like on month 4. It was like a weird thing. It was kind of like, okay, she's dead. You know, oh, it was almost like I had a feeling that she was just in a bathroom and she's going to come right out.
Oh, no, that happened to me where I was like, you feel like they're still there.
Yeah.
And that this never really happened.
That's right.
Especially if you don't live with them, right?
Yeah.
So because my parents live in Connecticut, they would come stay with us a lot, but they would also leave. And so I was like, oh, it feels like she's just over there.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But they kind of are. They are just over there.
That's right.
They are still with us.
Yeah, yeah. And that's I think the later part. It's like the later part. I think taking time to like not to just say they're with us. Like I think going to that sometimes this a taboo topic to bring into, but I have started to observe people who hold a very, very, very strong view that the afterlife is a heavenly plane, and they're right there going through their process. They're there for infinity. They're hanging out with everyone who's passed. It kind of, this is taboo, so I'm bringing it in, and I know you're Christian, so we're just going to dance here for a second.
Okay.
It could potentially rob people from the opportunity of grieving the severity. If they immediately go to that place, they're right there.
Yeah.
You know, right there. I'm going to see her soon. It's like, what if you hold that belief? Please hold that mystical belief. Hold on to it. It will give you grace at some point. But what if right now you just felt the severity of, I will never see them again.
Yeah.
I will never hold them again. I will never hear her words saying, Maria, good job on that thing. Or whenever you're having a hard day, the only person who holds the keys to your unraveling, to your relaxation was mom saying, oh dear. You know, that. I think hold on to the heavenly plane, because I am now, as a Buddhist, even considering heavenly planes and heaven as a belief system, because it's too severe to
Yeah.
think that I will never see her again in that form, in that iteration of self, you know?
It's a lot.
Yeah. So then, tracing back to my experience, I got desensitized and by kind of numb. And I said, I need to walk the grief. The grief was speaking to me to walk with it. So then I was like, Dad, let's go hike Everest Base Camp. You know, I don't do anything. It's full extreme here.
Base camp meaning it's like not the full Everest. It's
not the summit, the a couple of them before. Yeah.
oh my
It's
goodness.
still an extreme thing to do, but it wasn't the summit.
Okay.
And I was like, Dad, let's go hike at base camp. And he's like, no, I can't do this. This is too much. And I said, okay, cool. I need to walk the grief, and you are totally disheveled. You're completely lost. Like, let's go do something together. So then what I decided is to go walk El Camino de Santiago. You know, this beautiful Christian pilgrimage from France through Spain, this 500-mile walk. And Dad and I arrived in France and started the walking. And it was the process of the grief moving through us.
Together.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And then we didn't have anyone.
Walking is the best thing to do with people. I do walking meetings when I have to have uncomfortable conversations. They're amazing. The best stuff happens when you're walking and talking.
Literally. We need the somatic connectivity. We need the body. We need to remind our bodies and ourselves that like things could be moved up and out. When we're stagnant and holding, we're contracted. So the walking and talking and walking and grieving, it's so beautiful. And one other thing too, for the mourners, for the grievers, it's the process of not having anyone around me who felt uncomfortable with my grief, not having anyone around, no one that wanted to fix or resolve me, there was so profound.
Yes.
Total strangers walking by and seeing me collapse, crying, snot running down my face, ugly cry like that. And people were just like, or buen camino. You know, and later in the day, when we sit at a restaurant or the cafe, the only one in the middle of the trail, they would say, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? And then we would unravel conversation. But in the trail, we were held by unseen forces. We're held by nature. We're held by,
God.
By God. Exactly.
That's how I feel when I hike.
Exactly. God was holding our grief. God was supporting us to grieve, to process, to integrate, to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. How is a human being supposed to do life without their mother?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Now they have Athena more than ever. You know, it's like, wait, how am I doing without my mom?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's such a wild thing. I feel like, and I see such a insane thing that happened. And I know my mom did this, but I was like, I always thought I was going to have my mom. My dad was the one that we thought, because he almost died every day of our lives with low blood sugar attacks.
Oh my God.
I'm like, we always thought, well, he was the one that we were worried to lose.
Yeah.
And so I never thought I'd have a baby without her. But then I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this without her? And then just God sent me not one, not two, multiple angels that are around, that are maternal, that are helping me, that and she sent them.
Yeah. 100.
And I was like, wow, I have an abundance of love around her. And so I was like, this is so interesting how this all works.
Yeah. So important. And I want to just bring back just a little bit more artistic expression for the grief, because I think a lot of people don't do enough with it. I think a lot of people just kind of carry on because they have to work, they have to do their things.
Yeah, you throw yourself into work. That's natural. And by the way, helps.
It helps, but
as long as you don't avoid.
Exactly. It helps. And also there's an undercurrent of maybe the first year you threw yourself into work, and then maybe the second year you have a mental health breakdown, you know, or you fully collapse, or your body goes completely haywire and you become sick with mysterious illness and all kinds of things started happening. So I want to just bring people to like do something creative with the grief. And one of the things that I did too was a performance, somatic art film in Indonesia that I worked with a group of Balinese dancers to all of us to explore our grief, to make ugly faces, to make claws with our hands, to crawl on the floor, to work with paint, to run through a volcanic landscape, to just say, we're here to explore grief. I don't have a format for it. Let's just tap into this collective grief. Or if you have a personal experience with grief, go to that place, explore that. So we filmed all this in a day, and the film has now gone to win all these awards internationally.
way.
It's an 8-minute little short film,
Okay.
and it's a poem that I wrote that goes with it, and it's about paradox. It's like grief is my salvation, but also, heartbreaking. So it really bringing people to open up themselves to living with a heart broken that is also a heart open. Like walking themselves through this process. But the only way I could ever arrive at this point that I feel strong about telling people this, it's because I actually did something with the grief. I painted, I danced, I screamed, I created, I shared about it. I think pretending that we can just do it alone and do nothing creative with it will show up in your life later, and not creating a curse or a prophecy about people who are not grieving. I know that our culture is grief-phobic and death-phobic. So to bring grief into the forefront and death to the forefront and say, today I'm going to go to an art store and I'm just going to, wherever, I'm going to say, grief, lead me in the art store. Guide me, whatever product, whatever things I need to get today, and I'm going to process the grief. Do that,
I think we all are
whatever it may be.
paralyzed, though, with even the thought of, well, how do I do this right?
There is no right. There is no right. That's the biggest
But then,
thing.
if you are, I don't know, you seem like someone that can do this and you can tap in. For me, I would be like, okay, I'm going to go to the art store. What am I going to do? I'm going to get some pink paint and finger paint, and then is that it? Did that work? I don't know. I'm saying this because I know the
Sure.
Heal Squad's listening, and they're like, well, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't
Sure.
know how to do this.
Sure.
And also, I want you to explain, when you say somatic, what that kind of all means for everybody.
Somatic is placing more awareness in the body. I think we think our feelings. I think we can talk about our feelings, but we don't feel them. So somatic awareness is realizing that feelings happen in the body. And when we are not placing the body as a central figure in psychological, physiological, spiritual healing, we're missing the plot. We have to go to the body, be with the feelings. And one thing to know, as a point of contact for people who are just starting their healing journey or their somatic journey, you may just close your eyes and say, dear grief, where in my body are you today? And your body may immediately show you, oh, it's that knot in my stomach. Oh, it's the tightness in my chest. Oh, it's the headache. Oh, it's the lower back pain. Allow the grief that is happening in the body to communicate with you. And once it's awake, then bring your awareness there. Maybe you can't do it with your eyes closed because your awareness isn't trained yet in that way. You may do it with eyes open and bring your hands there. And you may just say, okay, grief, what can I do today to make you my friend? What can I do today to invite you into my life? What can I do today to help integrate you? We don't want to process grief. We don't want to let go of grief. We want to integrate it because it's an integral part of being human. The more present you are, the more you feel the grief, because I'm going to miss this moment after I'm done talking to you, especially how we started our conversation off the record, how profound it was for me too. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to miss this moment, coming into your beautiful house, greeting you in the sunshine, looking at your beautiful eyes the first time in person. Being greeted by your team.
Oh my God, that's right. We've never been in person.
Exactly. Although we feel such kinship, it was only online. So all these things, it's like grief is always here. Life is a losing game. We're all continuously going to be at a loss, but that's okay. How do we integrate that? And how do we not avoid it? So I think the somatic art project that I'm telling people to explore is, really, look at some of my work that I'm doing, that I'm putting out there. It might inspire you to do something a little bit more
you need
chaotic.
Sometimes to see an example so that you can feel you're headed in the right direction.
That's right, yeah.
Because otherwise you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean alone.
That's right.
And you don't know.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is a really good practice for any kind of grief, because grief comes from losing a job, a marriage, or anything. And I'm just sitting here,
a house, a car. All of it. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of my husband's always like, Maria, someday you're going to wake up and realize everything you've gone through. And, I'm pretty sunshine and I roll through things pretty well and pretty easily. And so I'm just sitting here thinking like, I know with my mom, I processed a lot. I didn't integrate my grief like you're saying, but I did sit with it every day. And I remember just being in my kitchen and be like, I don't understand how you're not here. I don't understand how this is possible. I can't. And I remember being like a zombie for like a couple months, just kind of what just happened, because it was
That's right.
5 years of caretaking and really trying to figure out how to keep her here. That was like my full-time goal. Like, how do I keep her alive and healthy and whatever, and then enjoy her too, because you don't know what's around the corner. And now that's all over. And then I had an identity kind of crisis because I was really in the depths of caretaking those last 6 months. And I'm like, well, what do I do now? And who am I now? So there's a lot of grief, but then my own illnesses and everything that I've had to go through. And then I had to roll so quickly after. I don't know if I've processed all of that well enough. So now I'm just going to like, okay, maybe I do need to go to Michael's and get into an aisle and go for it.
Well, maybe I can facilitate something for you one day. You know, I'm going to take some like the next month and a half off to kind of process all the things that are happening. But I would love to come and set something up for you, put a blindfold on you and just give you some guidance, create a really beautiful playlist, create a safe environment.
Maybe we'll do a heal event where everyone gets to do it together.
Oh my God, done.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So that we can, because I'll do it too, and we'll all do it together. Okay, we'll do that. So we have our Patreon squad that would love that.
Yeah, let's do that, because I think
we need to see it.
I think I'm saying things that are such natural things for me to explore, but I'm realizing, as you're saying, as someone that I'm inspired by, I'm like, Maria, you know how to do this, but you're saying, Sah, I don't really know what I'm doing. I got you, and like, let's do it, because I think this would be an amazing opportunity for us to let out the ugly part of grief come up and out.
Yeah.
Let out the chaotic part of grief up and out. Because in this Heal Squad event experience, in this somatic release of grief that we'll go through, you're going to be safe to unravel all the parts of your grief that you had to like button up and just show up to work and, hi, how are you? Good. You know, this culture that's like, how are you? Good. Like, what is that even mean?
Yeah.
How can you say that you're good?
Yeah.
You know, my go-to sentence, my go-to phrase is, I'm fine, I'm okay, because that's enough. I'm stable, I'm in my body, I'm breathing, I have a smile on my face, you know, a lot of the times, not all the time. And I think us going through a culture of how are you good, it's how grief-phobic we are. Because we go to the supermarket and everyone, strangers or close friends, how are you? Great, good. And it's like, really? Like, have you felt your feelings today?
No.
Like, have you observed what's going on in your body? Have you opened up to the collective grief of the world? It's insane to claim your individual experience as I am great. It's like, that isn't the spiritual path. The mystical path is to be able to tap into the grief, the collective grief, and to be able to do something every day, at every moment, as best you can, to help to alleviate, even if it's a silent prayer from your side, even if it's a candle at home at your altar at night, even if it's a walk, and I'm walking for all those I can't walk right now, you know? Like, tie your practice to the intention that benefits all beings. You know, in our lineage, it's very much the Bodhisattva vow. It's how can I ritualize the most mundane so it benefits all people? It's so simple. You know, one of my teachers, Sharon Salzberg, has spoken about this in detail. She's like, washing your hands, you know, I'm washing away the pain of the world. Like, just train your inner vocabulary. Like, really utilize the most boring tasks that we all have to do, you know, to ritualize it in a way that sends out a blessing. Stay connected to the tapestry of blessings and watch how your personal life radically changes. All of a sudden, you're walking down the street and there's beautiful trees and you're like, who's looking at me? And you're not freaked out by it, but you realize that there is more to life. You know, that your house plants aren't just house plants, that they're, you know, beautiful plant spirits that are there with you. Like, bring the mystical back by ritualizing the mundane and watch what happens, you know?
Yeah. I'm glad you explained the why, because as you were talking about washing the hands, I'm like, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But I love that because I can already feel, well, because because at that point, it's not just about you. It's all about us all day long. And I think that's why we're unhappy. I think when you make it about more and bigger, and then you feel like you're a part of something bigger, and then you also don't feel the pressure. Because when you realize that we're not even specks just in the Milky Way, forget the whole universe. Like Deepak Chopra and I talked about it, and I was like, wait, we're not even a speck in the Milky Way? Like, that's crazy. That's when I realized, I'm like, all our shit is so stupid that none of this really means anything. The only thing that means anything is our connections with people, the love we have for each other, helping each other in these moments. That's why no matter what is going on, like the other day, this is insane. So we're in Beverly Hills. I had family in town, and we're walking down the street, and I see 3 massive poodles in the back of a truck. And I go, oh my God, can I look at your babies? And the guy's like, yeah. And he was kind of like, solemn. And I said, I have poodles. I love them so much. And he's like, oh, this is his last day. Bo, it's his last day on the earth. And I go, what? And he's like, yeah, he's in kidney failure. And I'm like, wait, we had a dog that had pancreatitis and kidney failure, and we got her out of it. And hold on, we're going to fix this. I think we could do this. And I get on my husband on FaceTime, and we're talking to him about exactly what we did. Yeah. We did fluids every day, and then we force fed. I know it was awkward, but we force fed for a month, and we did this. And he's like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this was meant to be. And I was like, well, let's figure out how we can fix this. And my dad's screaming at Maria, come on, because we have our guests, and it was a while I stood with him because he got emotional. And I was like, this dog seems like it's okay. Like, we could maybe give it a shot. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so I always say those are the things that are important.
That's right.
Right? Like I said, you guys go, I'll meet you wherever. But if we can help somebody, that's a powerful connection that you can have where you might have an impact, or, you're giving somebody maybe some hope. I'm not trying to give false hope anytime, but giving some hope. Or someone gets sick and you answer the call and you go to help them. That's the stuff that matters. And I know, because when you're in that bed in the hospital and you don't know if you're going to be okay, you're not thinking about your bank account. You're not thinking about your grocery list. You're not thinking about all this stupid shit. You're thinking about, who are my friends? Who are my loved ones? Who are going to be here for me? That's the stuff. What are the big moments in my life that were impactful and important? So if you know that, then you lead your life in a way. And then, so my dad, by the way, was like, Maria, you talking to the guy for an hour. And he's like, and you giving him your phone number? And I go, Dad, I'm trying to help this baby. And this guy was really sad, and I would be sad too. And Maria, and I go, Dad, I would think you would be proud of me. And he was like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you wrote this incredible book called Spiritually We. And I really want to get into it. I think we're going to have to do this second part for everybody to really see why friends are so integral in our spiritual journey. And I haven't really heard people talk about it like that. And I think that's really powerful. So we will bring Sah back for part 2 of that for sure. All right, friends, that is it for part 1 with Sah. Don't forget to come back for part 2. We're going to talk all about the book and the art of connecting, and we'll talk all about the loneliness epidemic. You guys are going to die maybe not die, but you guys will be really shocked to hear all of the crazy statistics around people being alone in hospitals. It is so heart-wrenching, but we all need to know about it, and we need to figure out how to make sure our loved ones aren't in that position. So we're talking about that, navigating friendship breakups, and so much more. Be back tomorrow, and I hope you guys enjoy.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.